Hey guys, I recorded this before, however it was unhinged and 20 minutes long, so I'm re-recording it now, post-recording the league. What you'll see before you is a list I was working on for fun. I was inspired by a couple of things when I made this list. It is a list that does not have Cabal therapy and does not have Bridge from Below. It focuses instead on having Creeping Chill and Prized Amalgam and Grief. Grief is the Cabal therapy replacement that acts as the disruption, and then we just aim to kill them very quickly with Creeping Chills and Prized Amalgams. You might be thinking, this doesn't seem very good, but actually it's not terrible. I was very impressed with how this performed. Let's start with what sort of inspired this list. This is the Madness list. The notable things about this list is it doesn't have any disruption. It's an all-in semi-graveyard based aggro deck. And it aims to kill incredibly quickly. It doesn't use the graveyard at all. Well, it does use the graveyard, but it is mostly sort of using the weird exile stack based stuff with Madness, so it's somewhat resistant to graveyard hate, but it's very, very fast. It leans heavily on Angie's Ravager plus Lion's Eye Diamond, and it just wants to kill the opponent as quick as possible. It's a true aggro deck, of which there aren't many in Legacy. However, I thought this list would fall off quite quickly as people realised that the list leans so heavily on Angie's Ravager. If you can shut down that one card, the deck doesn't really do much. Counter Lion's Eye Diamond, counter Angie's Ravager, remove Angie's Ravager, and the deck sort of falls over. That's not to say that you can't win, but in my mind this wasn't as powerful as Dredge, and I often thought, why would people play this when they could play Dredge? I think people were inexperienced with Dredge, and this is a lot easier to pilot because it's a lot more straightforward. The other thing that inspired this list was this this vintage list you'll see before you that doesn't run any copies of Bridge from Below or Cabal therapy, and instead focuses on Creeping Chills and fills some of the slots for threats with Silver Smoke Ghouls. This seemed very interesting to me. I was like, oh, if this works in Vintage, why wouldn't this work in Legacy? Which is where I came up with this. This list is a lot more similar to a standard Dredge list than the list that I will be playing through this league. It uses obviously there's no bridges or Cabal therapies because that's kind of the point, but it uses a mostly rainbow mana base. It's got some putrid imps. We've cut all careful studies. The idea here was that you could use Angie's Ravager as sort of a replacement for Bizarra Baghdad and sort of play like the vintage players do. Obviously when you don't have access to Bridge from Below, Hogak becomes a lot worse because everything that can convoke out Hogak takes a whole extra turn cycle, so there's no Hogak in this list, but we do have Oxvagonus. The sideboard looks very standard. When I first ran this through a league, it went 4-0 into 4-1, losing a very unlucky game. Final game 3 against Death and Taxes, where my opponent basically drew, I think they drew like 2 surgicals and then top decked the card they needed to win on the turn. It was a bit unlucky. Obviously those games happen, but what that told me was that there is definitely some kind of there's something here this isn't a crazy idea. I did a bunch more testing. The Angie's Ravagers did not seem very good. The Putrid Imps didn't seem especially good when there weren't that many enablers. But Prized Amalgam actually felt great. And when you sort of lower the number of enablers, because we can't Cabal Therapy ourselves, we don't have Careful Study, Ox Vagonus was a very important card in the deck. So this got us to the list that we'll be playing through today. All of the Putrid Imps are gone, all the Angie's Ravagers are gone. We've got 4 Prized Amalgams, we've got 2 Oxes, the mana base, 4 Fiery Islets. This is to sort of offset. We're playing a sort of entirely red-blue mana base and red-blue sideboard. The idea here is that you can leverage Fiery Islet and Cephalid Colosseum to just sort of make a bunch of chills. It's somewhat easier to make a board with this, even though you've got less enablers. You don't need to find combinations of cards. So, for example, in a standard Dredge list, you'd need Narcomoeba plus Cabal Therapy plus Bridge from Below. In this build, you just need Narcomoeba plus Prized Amalgam in order to make a pretty sizable board. Obviously, Grief is disruption. You can pitch Creeping Chills and Prized Amalgams in order to evoke Grief. In the sideboard, we have all blue answers to Leyline because of the Fiery Islets. We can't really manage to have anything green or white. We've got Firestorms. Go wide strategies are something that this list struggles a lot more with than the standard list, because we can't go as wide with Bridge from Below. So this is good against things like Elves. This is also a good card to bring in against Delver. 3 Leyline of the Voids. We are slightly worse against graveyard decks, like Reanimator, because we're not worse per se, but we can't just beat a Gristlebrand on board like we can with a standard Dredge list. 1 Leyline of Sanctity. This is obviously a good card against Endurance and Bog that's in the meta. Dread Return, but the only Dread Return targets Flayer of the Hatebound. Flayer of the Hatebound is, in my opinion, the best target for this list because you can't sacrifice Ashen Rider, so when Ashen Rider's just exile 1 permanent instead of exile 2 permanents, it loses a lot of its strength, in my opinion. This could be something like Flamekin Zealot or, well, obviously not Flamekin Zealot, Doomscar Titan, but that doesn't beat Ensnaring Bridge, which Flayer of the Hatebound does. Also, Flayer of the Hatebound combos somewhat nicely with Prized Amalgam and Creeping Chill. Even though Flayer can struggle to do the full points of damage, often with Creeping Chills it does do the full points of damage, and the fact that you can Dread Return a Flayer and then all your Prized Amalgams come in at end step is really, really nice. I hope to show off this interaction in this league. Though I make no promises, it's not a card that comes in super regularly. And we've got 2 Force of Wills. Because we are running 4 Prized Amalgams, 4 Narcomoebas, 3 Breakthroughs, 2 Careful Studies, we can get away with running Force of Will in the sideboard. Obviously you won't always be pitching, but we are an aggressive combo deck, not a control deck. It's not a card that always needs to be live. If you played Vintage Dredge, you'll know that they also get away with running Force of Will with what would be considered a below necessary blue count, because they don't always need to have their Force of Wills live, and no one expects it, so it's very, very funny when you catch someone out with Force of Will. Hopefully I can show off that this list, while I'm not going to say it's going to replace the standard Dredge list, this list is very, very fun to play. It plays slightly differently to the normal list. It's a different change of pace from the normal list, and I do think there's something here potentially in the future in certain metagames. I think actually in the current metagame this is very well positioned. This is very good against Delver of Secrets. This is very good against a lot of these sort of endurance based decks, because you don't get your bridges exiled if they put your creeping chills on the bottom of the library in response to the trigger. You don't lose the creeping chills, they just get shuffled back in and you can still dredge into them. I think there's potential here. I have managed to 5-0 with this multiple times in varying configurations. I have 5-0'd with this exact configuration, and yep, hopefully you enjoy the video. I've been enjoying brewing with this. I'd like to see other people's opinions on this. Hopefully this video demonstrates that even though this does look like a complete pile on paper, it actually has a lot of gameplay to it, and it's not strictly worse. So, round 1, we are against Rooney56. I've got no idea what he's playing. Absolutely no clue. This hand's obviously unkeepable. This hand's pretty good though. This hand's more than pretty good. This hand's excellent. So we bottom Creeping Chill, because you want that in the deck. And let's just start by evoking a Grief, eh? That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, evoking Griefs. I would like to stack it like this. Force of Will, Brainstorm, Supreme Verdict, Plow. Well, it would have sucked to have gotten our Careful Study forced, but thankfully we don't have to. I think, I mean, obviously a second enabler would have prevented us from having to do what we just did, but I think you see why the Grief is nice. We have to eat a prized amalgam, sadly. We didn't hit another Dredger, but that's not horrendously unlikely given we had to pitch one. One thing that this deck does struggle with is if you end up having to pitch payoffs or bottom payoffs, it can be quite awkward. Like for example, if you draw a couple of Creeping Chills, the game can become a little difficult to win, because your individual payoffs do less on their own, as opposed to like a bridge being able to, or a couple of bridges being able to make an incredibly large number of attackers. A single prized amalgam is just a single prized amalgam, if you know what I mean. I'm going to actually eat another Icarid here because I really don't want to brick on Dredges. I know he's got 2 plows in hand, but I don't want to be in a situation where I don't have any Dredges. And my opponent just scoops after seeing the Creeping Chills, so that's nice. So sideboarding against these sort of blue control decks, we don't really have anything to bring in. Like actually nothing. Like Firestorm is an uncounterable discard spell, but I don't think it's worth it when there's nothing to pitch to it. I could cut the Grief, a couple of Griefs for a couple of Firestorms, but when there's no targets I don't think that's actually very good. We could bring in the Force of Wills, but again I think it's worse than Grief. I mean, maybe you could trim a Thug for a Force of Will, but I mean, if my opponent's got lots of Surgicals and they look like a more like blue-white based build rather than a Bant based build, you can end up in some trouble. I'm literally just going to run it back. Maybe this list would be a better list for a card like Silent Gravestone than the standard list. Though I'm not even sure that's true. I'm not even sure that's the case. Though maybe because a lot of the reason why we can get away with not running Silent Gravestone now is, one, there's not that much Snap Surgical, but also two, Putrid Imp is a very good card against Surgical Extraction. In this list we don't have access to that, so we have to kind of play into it more, but even then I think it's, I don't know, maybe I'm out of touch. There's been a lot of lists lately that have been running Silent Gravestone and doing well, so maybe I'm just delusional. One nice thing I will mention, which I forgot to mention in the intro actually, this endurance is obviously ridiculous against Dredge because it exiles the bridge from belows and then it shuffles the graveyard into the deck. So it's not just to shuffle the graveyard to the bottom, it also, I mean, I'm going to keep this, even though it's got no Dredger, I think the ability to grief and just have lots of ways to draw cards is just pretty nice. The fact that we don't run bridge means that if they endurance us and shuffle all of our chills onto the bottom of the deck, like they endurance us in response to our chill triggers, the chills will come back eventually. Like if we keep dredging, they will get hit with the creeping chills, whereas bridge from below is not like that at all. So that's really nice. Okay. This list is obviously much weaker against the card Containment Priest than the standard list, because we can't do the bridge from below, sack Cabal Therapy, recast Hogak a bunch of times thing that we can in standard Dredge lists. But again, that's not a card that's played very much at the moment. I think this version of the deck benefits quite a lot right now from running payoffs that sort of dodge the current hate that people are playing. Okay, well, I mean, I could take the Narset, force them to force me, but honestly I'm just going to take the force, I think. Maybe that's wrong. That's really nice though. Okay. I mean, we got Rest in Peace, what can you do? I mean, I know what's in their hands, so I'm not winning this game, so I'm just going to scoop. Yeah, that's probably a one-of. That's probably a one-of. That would be a situation where it would be nice to have Force of Will versus Grief. Though they still had a force in hand, so whatever. Yeah, I think if we were going first, we could have probably beaten that, but it happens. For sure. Don't get mad about it. That's Magic the Gathering. He probably doesn't have too many copies of Rest in Peace either. My guess is he's running the list that won the showcase recently. That had one. Okay, this hand's great. There's a long pause on this Lion's Eye Diamond. I tend not to read into things like that, but I also don't think our hand's atrocious. So I'm not just going to walk into a Force of Will here. Okay, that got countered, which I'm fine with. I actually kind of like the fact that it got countered. Let's cast Breakthrough. And we're going to get Pyroblasted, and we're going to get Spell Pierced, and we're going to get Flusterstormed. Find out. Mystical Dispute. That's an interesting one. I do not think that's an especially good card against us, but hey, what can you do? Cast another one. What is this? Is this like straight up counter spell? Pyroblast? That's whack. Okay. Okay. Cool. Really having a good time. So I can play out Stink Redemp, or I can sack a Fiery Islet to draw a card. I think I'm going to sack a Fiery Islet to draw a card. Oh, I should have kept the Mana Confluence untapped. I'm going to evoke this Grief now. Obviously, if he has Brainstorm, that kind of sucks, but I mean, if they've got Brainstorm, then it's bad either way. Like, I could potentially hold this for the combo turn, but I don't want to drop, like, Narset or Hull Breacher. And they pitched a Hull Breacher to the Force of Will on turn 1, which makes me think, hey, maybe they've got another card like that. I'm going to take the Narset. It looks strange, but I think that's correct. Narset they can play out and kind of replaces itself. Brainstorm, they're not guaranteed to find another blue card. I mean, they're not off Narset, but at least like Narset represents like drawing 2 cards. Played Tundra. Yeah, I'm fine with those. Turnwise Timeless Dragon. Yeah, we do this. You have to force this. Sure. So now we've got any land's a good top deck. Any enabler is a good top deck. Ponder off the top. Come on. So I could play out Golgari Thug here, but it doesn't actually do anything, so I'm not going to. I'm very curious why they didn't shuffle and then played a land. Maybe they've got Force as their top card. I don't see any other reason. Oh. That's strange. There's player lines I don't. Yeah, this is when it's super awkward, right? So we've been wheeled our hand and we've drawn one Creeping Chill, one Narcomoeba, one Narcomoeba. We've already pitched a Creeping Chill to the Grief. So we're really threat light now in the list, which is kind of awkward. I was thinking about if I want to cast this Narcomoeba, we go down to 4, which gets us dead if our opponent casts a Teferi or something. We can do the kind of cute play here with the Grave Troll as well, potentially. I'm just going to crack both of these for red, honestly. I want to hit an Ox, or I want to hit a Looting. Looting was hit. Somehow I feel like this is going to get countered, but what can you do? Yeah. Okay, well we're not dead now. Hope they don't Days Undoing Hull Breach me here. That would suck. Ah. Nice. Okay, well we lose. Somewhat unfortunate game. I think we got a tad bit unlucky there. I don't think my hand was atrocious, but sometimes that happens. As I said, the deck is less enabler heavy compared to a standard list, so you will get games like that. Right, round 2. This hand's great. This hand's really good. Yeah, interestingly, in that last game, if I hadn't sacked the Fiery Islet, we could have cast the Stinkweed and have blocked. Maybe that would have helped. It's tough to say. Maybe we'd have still just got Days Undoing Narset and lost anyway, so it's difficult to say. Obviously I'm not going to crack my Faithless Looting. Not going to crack my Lion's Eye Diamond here and flashback Faithless Looting. There's no need to. We get much better next turn from not doing that, and our opponent pitches Narset there. So we might be playing against the same deck. Now, we do get hit with counter spells here, but we potentially dredge an extra card if we do this, so I'm going to cast both loot spells. We've hit 3 chills. You can see how dumb Creeping Chill is, right? Like, they're already at 10. Like, we got a Narcomoeba and a Prized Amalgam. Next time we'd have 3 cards coming back. It kills very fast when it works. Again, I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just going to run it back. Like, it would be nice to potentially have something to bring in over a breakthrough. I mean, I could bring in a Firestorm over a breakthrough. Like that last hand we had where we lost, we had a 2 breakthroughs, which is one of the reasons why breakthrough I don't think is an especially good card post board versus fair blue decks, because you never want to draw it in multiples. Like it's bad to draw in multiples. You'd rather have a different enabler. So maybe based on that we should have a Firestorm. Maybe I'll do that, in fact. Like, maybe if we had a Firestorm that game instead of a breakthrough, we'd have won. I mean, we could have potentially drawn the other 2 breakthroughs that are still in the deck, but if one of them was a Firestorm, we could have got dredging much quicker, and I think we'd have been in a much nicer spot than what we were. For sure. Firestorm is a very powerful card. It's even been playable in standard dredge lists in like weird metas where like elves and goblins were the best decks. It's just on the whole we don't really care what other creatures our opponent's playing. But this list does care a lot more about what creatures our opponents are playing because we don't have access to bridge from below. Oh, this hand's almost really good. I mean, we could discard to hand size here. The problem is if we don't draw a red source, this hand does absolutely nothing if our Lion's Eye Diamond gets countered. So based on that, I'm going to mull it. And we've just been rewarded for not keeping sketchy hands because we drew an excellent hand. Drawing another Dredger, that's awesome. I was going to cast a Careful Study if that Lion's Eye Diamond resolved, but in fact maybe it was better to cast a Careful Study in the face of potential Pyroblasts, because he can't cast Pyroblast this turn, so maybe we've, like if they play a red source they could potentially Pyroblast us. So maybe that was actually incorrect. I was thinking about what if we draw another... Oh, this isn't... Malevolent Hermit. That is not a good card against us. grief them. Thought Lash. Oh, it's this deck. This card buys a lot of time. Whoops, can't crack it yet. Wait, does it prevent damage? That's funny. Oh wait, no, Creeping Chill is damage. For God's sake. Crying out loud. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, that's less unfortunate. I'm not actually going to crack the Lion's Eye Diamond here. I want to break through next turn. I mean, if you're going to counter this, I'm fine. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could potentially have held that in case, because like next turn if they cast Thought Lash, they wouldn't be able to crack the Malevolent Hermit. Maybe that's better, but then I open myself up to getting forced, so I mean, what can you do? Wow, I got 4 prized amalgams in my graveyard, that's really stupid. And I get to swing him because I don't have any bridges I care about getting exiled. How silly. I'm attacking before I cast Breakthrough here because I want him to think that he doesn't need to worry about blocking here, because he's potentially just dead if I hit 3 Creeping Chills here and he doesn't block, but he's not stupid, so... And yes, the bug where you are left with 1 card in hand after casting Breakthrough X's 0 is still on MTGO. It's been in the game for now nearly a year, I think. In fact, it's had its 1-year anniversary because it was added in Strixhaven, so do the maths on that one. Small indie company. I mean, I kid, they really don't care about this game. Which is kind of depressing, but at least they don't care about Arena. Yeah, that's what I like to see. Nice, easy game. Easy game. Round 3, we are against Micrograms, and we keep opening really nutty hands. We have gotten somewhat lucky, I want to say, with our opening hands. They're normally a bit sketchier than this, but so far we have not been punished, so whatever. Discard these 2. Let's go. So opponent on Ant. It's a lot of Ant right now. Sure, look at my hand. Discard the Ox, so we have play next turn. Frustratingly, we didn't hit a Narcomoeba, which would have been nice, but we can still kill next turn. Oh no, we can't. My bad. We are unable to kill next turn, but we can come close. we can make it very hard for them to win as well. They've had enough. My guess is Thoughtseize, Ponder. It's got to be Ant, right? It's got to be Ant. So we bring in the Dread Return and the Flayer. Take out a Prized Amalgam. This is the problem with Dread Return in this list. It's very hard to know what to cut. I mean, I could shave an Ox, maybe. Ox is kind of good with Dread Return, though. I could cut a land, maybe. It's not nice, but it works. I put the other Prized Amalgam back in because it combos nicely with Flayer, but maybe that's just wrong. Yeah, that feels wrong. Another option here is I can bring in Force. But Force seems kind of mediocre into discard. But maybe it's better than the second Ox of Agonis. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what they're playing, so I'm going to keep it pretty straightforward. I mean, this hand loses to Thoughtseize, which we saw, but I mean, I'm not going to mull this. There's no way I mull this. Like, even if we do get Thoughtseized, it's not atrocious because we can still like Lion's Eye Diamond, Flashback Fiery Islet, not Flashback, Cycle Fiery Islet, which I mean is not good, but I mean it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to us. And yeah, Badlands Duress, after we saw Underground Sea Game 1, to me reads 100% we are playing against Ant. I'd have probably took the Lion's Eye Diamond there. No, I can see why you wouldn't take the Lion's Eye Diamond, to be honest. Like, I don't begrudge him for taking the Lion's Eye Diamond. I think it's correct to do this now in case we hit a Ox of Agonis. Yeah, I mean, we're clocking. We are clocking. We could swing for 10 next turn, which would kill if we dredged 2 chills, but we wouldn't be able to dredge if we return both Ichorid. So it's a case of how greedy am I feeling. Do I want to keep the second Ichorid? Because if I keep the second Ichorid around, it means I'm guaranteed to kill the turn after, because I swing for 7 and then the turn after, well, provided I hit another black card. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to keep that around. That's super nice. Nice, we have them dead next turn. And it's very hard for them to combo off from this low life total and no threshold if they don't have Lion's Eye Diamond. Like, if they have Lion's Eye Diamond, then they can combo off her. But if they don't have Lion's Eye Diamond, it's very, very difficult for them to combo off her, I think. Okay, there's Lion's Eye Diamond. Maybe we're dead. Infernal Tutor, crack. Add Nors from 6. Good luck with that. What is this BM? Keep flipping. Yeah. That was pretty quick. Creeping Chill showing its strengths in that matchup, I think, for sure. Yeah, we could struggle. One thing that's kind of awkward against Ant is we can put lots of disruption down potentially, but then if they have, it doesn't take them that many resources to combo off, especially with an ad nauseum. If they're on high enough life, we just lose. But of course, versus Creeping Chill, they just end up taking a bunch of damage. Like, how many Creeping Chills did we flip that game? 2. Like, they're already down to 14 and then swinging, and that's more damage. Yeah, that was a fun game. Right, round 4 against David van der Raven. Normally on elves, I believe. This hand is not very good. I will mull. And also not very good. This is basically the same as our 7, but now we're on 5. I mean, if we draw a gold land, this is good. I mean, it does stuff. I'll keep it. Like, drawing any mana source or like breakthrough makes this hand nuts. Like, as a 7, I'm like less than impressed with this, but like as a 5, I'm like more impressed with this, if you get me. Oh, this is why you don't keep hands like this. This is why we don't keep hands like this. This league's been a bit fucky, hasn't it? Dude, straight up just gonna add Nors turn 1. Yeah, alright. Oh wait, no, he doesn't even need to add Nors. He can just get Piff, Hardcast, Piff, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor for Tendrils. Does that do it? Is that enough mana? No, it's not enough mana. Okay, we go in. We flip in. Good thing I don't play this deck. I'd be making a fool of myself, though. We're straight up just dead here, right? LED. He flips any Infernal Tutor. Okay, that'll do. He goes land, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Lion's Eye Diamond, Burning Wish. Yeah, we are dead. We are very dead. If it makes us feel any better, we didn't get to have a turn anyway, so it didn't matter that our hand sucked. Think about it that way. When you think about it that way, it doesn't seem so bad. Yep. Well, I mean, we were on the draw, we got turn 1. Again, do we want foul? Not really feeling it. I don't want Firestorm. Do we cut a Golgari Thug? Do we cut a Gemstone Mine? I think I'll cut a Gemstone Mine. Maybe that's complete greed, but I don't care. Actually, we should definitely keep the Icarid over the Prized Amalgam, I think. Yeah, 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 let's get it. The good thing is, well, I mean, say good. It's not really good. It's probably worse than if we were playing a standard list, but Creeping Chill will turn off a lot of their fastest hands by putting their life total precariously low, surprisingly quickly. Wow, we really didn't hit another Dredger and that many cards? Okay. I mean, it's fine though, because we've got the nuts here. We might even be able to kill them this turn which would be funny, wouldn't it? Because we can flashback Oxygonis. Sadly we can't quite kill here, so it's a case of, do we want to get Grief or do we want to get Flayer of the Hatebound? Flayer of the Hatebound puts their life a lot lower. Grief, we get to take the best card out of their hand. I think I'm going to go with Grief. It's very close though. It's very close. Wait, how much are we going to do with Flayer? Let's actually think about this. 4 + 2 + 2, put them to 4. I mean, they're dead next turn either way because we do 8 + 6, they die. Oh, plus the prized amalgams as well. Yeah, let's just get back Grief here. It's very close, which is better here, but I'm fairly certain it's Grief. It's really close, it's super close. We take Lion's Eye Diamond. The rest of their handle does the same stuff, so getting rid of their one piece of mana seems good. And then they're dead next turn. Seems good. Nice. We get our revenge. How are we feeling on foul? Maybe on the draw foul's better than Flayer. I feel like on the draw they side out their Thought Seizers. I don't know. Oh, this hand's great. This hand's really good. It kind of gets pulled apart by a single Thoughtseize, but hopefully we don't get hit by a single Thoughtseize. That would be nice. Not getting hit by Thoughtseize. Don't Lotus Battle Thoughtseize. Don't Lotus Petal Thoughtseize me. Come on. I want to die. I want to die. Deary me. Deary, deary me. Goodness gracious me. Oh, and we topped that Creeping Chill. Great. That's not too bad. I'm firing this off now. I'm not messing around. Guess I take Thoughtseize. We need the Faithless Looting, really. I really don't want to take the Thoughtseize, but like, I don't think we're winning this game slow dredging. That turn was just awful for us. I mean, we could potentially sideboard in. Maybe we should bring in the Leyline of Sanctity. Not that it would have been a card that we'd have drawn, because we wouldn't have sided out any of these other cards to bring it in. But maybe it's better to have Leyline of Sanctity on the draw. To be fair, they're very low on cards in hand, so that's good for us. They're probably scared we have something like a breakthrough in hand or something. So they didn't, they put one on top. What is this pause? You have surgical. This has to be surgical, right? There's no other way. No Icarids or Narcomoebas really sucks. We just dead? Oh, he's just going for Adnors? He discards the surgical, he doesn't even cast it. I was right about them having surgical at least. Come on, flipping Lion's Eye Diamond first card. Give me a break. Okay, we're just dead. Ay ay ay. Underground Sea, sack all the lands with Rain of Filth. Cabal Ritual, Lion's Eye Diamond. To be fair, he has to hit 11 Storm. That's gotta be me dead though, right? Why are you still flipping? We've got to be dead here. So the Storm at 3, 4 Lion's Eye Diamond, 5 Rain of Filth, 6 Dark Ritual, 7 Cabal Ritual, 8 Thoughtseize, 9 Duress, 10 Tendrils. Oh, Lotus Petal, there we go. Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat here. Surprised he didn't surgical. I don't know. I feel like we got a tad bit unlucky in game 1 and game 3 here. Honestly. But maybe we really do need the Leyline of Sanctity in. Hilariously, if we'd have dredged that Creeping Chill instead of drawn, we'd have won this game. It's a shame we drew it off the top. Oh well. Frustrating game, but what can you do? Sometimes your opponent just draws well. That's Magic the Gathering. Round 5, we are against Mac 1. This is not keepable. Kahira. I think I keep this versus Kahira. What can Kahira even be? It's either lands or it's a hard control deck with no creatures. Either way, I actually kind of like this. If we didn't have the Grief here, I wouldn't keep this, right? It's because it's like we kind of have, like, Grief's not really an enabler, but like it like ensures that your enablers resolve, and it like buys you time. Endurance, no thank you. No thank you. People like know who I am or something. That hand does literally nothing. Wow, he top decks the mana source. What an absolute gamer. The hilarious thing is that Creeping Chill puts you out of 2020 range. I'm actually not going to crack Lion's Eye Diamond this turn because I value being able to flashback Ox over flashing back Faithless Looting. Like I have to wait a turn, but I get to go deeper. That just seems better to me, frankly. Wow. Are you kidding me? I was like, what did he draw that wasn't playable? I was like, there's no way he drew another Endurance. Now it's a case of, well, do we take the draw here? I think we do, strangely enough. Maybe I'm insane. Okay, yeah, I'm insane. I don't know, I feel like we're just not winning this game unless we, like, draw an enabler. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we can see whether I'm wrong. Okay, I'm definitely wrong. What would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it wouldn't have been good, whatever happened. We have survived and then we'd have gone 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that would just sucked, didn't it? That just really sucked. Okay, so we've got Leyline of Sanctity, we got Dread Return for Flare. Ox I actually don't think is very good in this matchup. Force of Will, however, I think is very good in this matchup. Prized Amalgam I think is mediocre, so is Icarid. Maybe Icarid's better than Golgari Thug. So since we're so low on threats, because we cut both the Oxes, don't want to go too low on threats. Wow, this is great. This is really good. Hopefully we draw another blue card so we don't have to pitch this. That's so filthy. We discard the grief here for sure because we want to be able to hold up looting. We want to be able to do everything next turn through a potential now it's a case of, do I activate Cephalid Colosseum? And I think I do, in case we're like playing against something crazy here like Crop Rotation plus Endurance. Having the looting in hand is really valuable. I mean, if you were going to crop rotation me, you should have done it before that. My concern is he's got crop rotation. That's my fear here. What did he pitch? Life from the Lamb? No, we just counter this. We don't mess around. Yeah, that was my concern, right? That was obviously what I was afraid of. Like, maybe it would have been better to let the endurance resolve and then counter a crop rotation, but, like, it doesn't seem like a good play, right? And this does have the advantage of forcing them to lose their green source, which is nice. Hitting Narcomoebas, not so nice. I kind of like taking whatever relevance out of his hand. Maybe he's got like a second crop rotation or something. Or like a second endurance. Are you kidding me? Wow. Insane. Oh my god. Endurance, crop rotation, and Soul Guide Lantern. This is why Dredge is not good right now, people. This is why Dredge is not good right now. Holy crap. That's insane. That's actually nuts. Oh, that really sucks too. I think we do this though, just to keep dredging. That kind of sucks if we draw the last creeping chill. Yeah, that's what I didn't want to happen. Nice, nice, nice. Because he's gonna have so many mazes. We only have how many Ichorids we got? Oh no, we got 4 Ichorids in the deck. Oh my god. Oh my god. Actually, this is fine. We can race this, can't we? I think we can race this. Well, we can't race this if we don't hit any black creatures, can we? We can't race it at all. Oh my god. How many griefs we got left in the deck? 1, 2, 3. I think he has to block the Ichrid here, so I'm going to swing with the Narcomoeba. So we got 1 grief left in deck. Maze is obviously a problem here. No point bringing back any Ichrids this turn. Okay. So I mean, we're not dead, though we are dead next turn. Yeah, I think we're just deterministically dead here. I don't know, I mean, maybe we could have had the read that they had crop rotation. But I mean, even if we did that, we'd have like got slapped by a Soul Guide Lantern. I don't know. I don't know. What an awful game. What an awful game. Drawing that. Did we lose game 1? Yeah, we did. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I tried to draw. Ugh, dearie me. I don't know. I feel like the deck's not even ran that bad. Like I feel like normal list would have struggled this league, to be honest. Like our opponents were just like drawing crazy. Wow, that was a beating. Yeah. Interesting games. Yeah, we played against Mac 1 and Mac 1 in the league. Wonder if it's the same person or different people. Anyway, unfortunate last couple of games. I thought the league was going pretty well, all things considered. So what do we think about this? I think it's got legs. I mean, I know that league was underwhelming, but I mean, our opponent literally top-decked Endurance after we took their Endurance. And then game 2 they had Crop Rotation, Endurance, Soul Guide Lantern. And our ad nauseum opponent turn 1s us and then goes Brainstorm into Lotus Petal Thoughtseize turn 1. Yeah. And yeah, we got kind of lucked out in the first round as well. I think we got pretty unlucky because our opponent had like Force, Pyroblast, and Mystical Dispute, and it like lined up perfectly against our hand. So that kind of sucked. But I mean, I think there's potential here for sure. This list is far from perfect. And I mean, it was when it worked, it was incredibly powerful. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. It's, if nothing else, a very fun way to play the deck. I'm really enjoying it. It's like, obviously you're still playing Dredge, but you do a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff that you couldn't do with the normal list. I mean, there'll be times when you're sat there wishing you had a bunch of zombies on board, and you could just loop Hogax and Cabal therapy your opponents. But there are definitely times you wish, oh, I wish I could just like flip Creeping Chill off the top of my deck now. And with this list, you can do that. Also, Dread Returning Flare of the Hatebound's just hilarious. It's just a fun card. I'm ashamed we didn't get to do it in the league. Dread Returning Grief there was definitely the better choice, but yeah, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.